This is the last remnants of my brace oar. It's a bit of a brace that fits over your arm like this. And as you paddle, you can see it, yeah, okay, now you can see it a little better. As you paddle, the brace brings the energy goes up the blade, across this little brace, onto your forearm, and you're paddling like this. And we use this for about 35 years. And we cross the English Channel on this brace oar. Well, it's one on this arm and one on this arm. And you kind of go like this. And you see this on some of our films. And this worked great. But the only problem is you don't get enough power. You have to have two oars, and we realized that you could probably use one oar just as good. One oar, and here with this hand you get more power in your stroke as opposed to two hands. This is the brace, and this is the regular oar. It goes in like this, goes over your arm. And we have problems with it because some people say, well, yeah, it looked like a crush, looked like this guy's retarded, or maybe he's sick. Well, I'm sick and retarded, of course. But they say, well, he's an old guy, maybe he got some kind of cane or something. Because I'm an old guy, and sometimes I carry a cane or something. But this brace we used for a long time, but then we realized in stiff breezes and all that, you get out in the ocean, there's a lot of crazy stuff out there. And so we found out that this is the more classical oar, this oar. And so we're gonna, maybe we can find one real quick. Look over here. So we bought this contraption. It's a little more, and this works good. You know, you hold it here and you paddle along, and we found that this works better. You know, this thing here can grip. It grips, and you can move along. But in the style and the flavor of the Ninja, they wouldn't necessarily use a fancy oar. They would use a bit of a stick. And the stick, they would use a kind of stick like this, you know. And then here again, you paddle along with one stick. And the good thing about this is flat, so it don't roll around. It don't roll around, but with the brace oar, it was great. But you got to have two of them, and then you step on this part and it bends and breaks, and you got a lot of problems, especially if you're way out somewhere and it's dark and it's cold, and you got to find two oars, and it takes up both hands. But this thing here, one hand, I mean, you could roar, and then you could use this hand for something. You could roar and all that. And the Chinese did something, and the Orientals do something they call a sweep oar. Now, the Americans or Europeans don't use a sweep oar, but with the water shoes, you can use something we call a sweep oar. And maybe we'll show that real quick. But I suggest go on YouTube and maybe get some films on a sweep. I think you call it a sweep oar. But basically it goes like this. And as you go through the water, you turn it, angle it, and it sweeps this way, then it sweeps that way, it sweeps this way, it sweeps along like this. It sweeps along like this. And it works just like a fan, but instead of a fan going all the way around, it just goes halfway around. And it angles this way, and then it angles that way, and it angles that way. And as it angles, it pushes the boat it pushes the boat forward. And if you look at, like I said, on some of the, YouTube boats, if you punch in and sweep, I'm almost sure you can find that. And so with the water shoes, we want to keep in the what we call flavor. We want to keep in the flavor of the Ninja. And so the Ninja, you want to build a shoe that's light, cheap, fast, inexpensive, and you can do several things with it. You can make a ladder out of it, you can sleep on it, it's a cart, it's this and that and all these things. And our water shoes, and we can see. If we rig this in a certain way, this can be the floor of a tent. Once I get to where I'm going, this could be the floor of a tent. And if I rig this thing a certain way, you also can get the impression that we could sleep on this thing out in a small lake or whatever. Where the water's not that bad. You could sleep on it. I could rig it instead of having 4 inches thick, have it 5 or 6 inches thick, and then I'm pretty well out of the water, and then I could sleep on it. Especially if I got some friends and we connect several together. Now, this water shoe is rectangle. Now, the psychology of Europeans is that you have to have a point. The thing has to be pointed in the front and pointed in the back, to give it more aqua dynamics or aerodynamics or water dynamics. It should be pointed in the front, pointed in the back. But that's not absolutely necessary. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, and the main, so we can if we have to break the film up a little bit, we're just going to put a little quick break in, and we're going to come right back.